Welcome to the channel. First, we will frame the timeless student money dilemma: pay off student loans or start investing early. Next, we will translate interest rates into simple choices, then build a step-by-step plan to balance emergency savings, debt payoff, and investing. Finally, we will test your understanding with quick quizzes and close with key takeaways and a decision framework you can use today. Here is our roadmap. First, we will cover the interest rate math that underpins smart decisions. Then, we will discuss why high-interest debt payoff is equivalent to a guaranteed return. After that, we will examine subsidized loans and how their 0% period creates an investing window. Next, we will design a practical emergency fund and cash flow plan. Then, we will lay out a decision framework with examples. Finally, we will run quick quizzes to cement the concepts. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. This video is educational and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. Your situation is unique. Therefore, consider consulting a fiduciary financial advisor who can tailor guidance to your specific goals, loan terms, and risk tolerance. Now, here is the core principle. If your debt is accruing interest, paying it down is equivalent to earning a risk-free return equal to the interest rate. After eliminating costly debt and securing an emergency fund, investing early compounds your wealth. However, subsidized loans with 0% costs until a future date can justify investing first because the money you keep can grow while the debt costs nothing during that window. Let us quantify the trade-off. If your student loan interest rate is 7% and accruing today, every extra dollar you use to pay it down effectively earns you a guaranteed 7% return. Meanwhile, the stock market may return 8 to 10% over the long run, but with meaningful volatility and risk of short-term losses. Consequently, for accruing balances, the guaranteed 7% is usually superior to chasing uncertain returns. In other words, if interest is ticking now, prioritize payoff. This is especially true when you are early in your financial journey. This flowchart illustrates the decision-making process. First, verify whether you have at least a $5,000 emergency fund. If not, pause and build that cushion, because it protects you from emergencies without resorting to high-interest credit. Next, check whether any loans are currently accruing interest, such as unsubsidized loans at 6 to 7%. If interest is accruing, direct extra cash toward those balances, because the payoff is a risk-free return. Once accruing balances are cleared, evaluate whether you have subsidized loans with a 0% period until a future date. If you do, allocate funds to a diversified, low-cost investment portfolio while the debt is costless. As the 0% window approaches its end, shift your new cash flow toward prepaying before interest starts. If you have no subsidized loans, consider splitting extra cash between investing and prepaying low-rate debt according to your risk tolerance and psychological comfort. Here is a concrete plan. First, build a $5,000 emergency fund to handle unexpected expenses. Second, inventory each loan by type, rate, and whether interest is accruing today. Third, prioritize extra payments toward any accruing interest loans, such as unsubsidized loans, around 6 to 7%. Fourth, if only subsidized loans with 0% interest remain, invest consistently in low-cost, diversified exchange-traded funds while the debt costs nothing. Fifth, automate your system with scheduled transfers for savings, debt, and investing to reduce friction. Sixth, allocate windfalls from internships or scholarships strategically. Either demolish accruing balances or front-load investments during 0% windows. Finally, reassess 6 to 12 months before any 0% period ends and redirect cash flow to prepay before interest begins. This table summarizes common scenarios and recommended actions. If your emergency fund is below $5,000, pause debt acceleration and investing to reach that level. For unsubsidized loans accruing around 6 to 7%, prioritize aggressive payoff because it is equivalent to a risk-free return. If the only remaining loans are subsidized at 0% until a future date, invest in diversified ETFs because the debt currently has no cost. As the 0% period nears its end, redirect cash flow to prepay the balance to minimize future interest. When windfalls arrive, either attack accruing debt or front-load investments during 0% windows. If you are moving to a high-cost city, consider additional prepayments to increase flexibility and reduce monthly obligations. For subsidized loans, interest often does not accrue until after graduation or a specified future date. If your interest clock starts, for example, in November 2027, Your debt costs 0% until then. During this period, channel monthly contributions into broad, low-cost index funds. To avoid a sudden payment shock when interest begins, set a glide path. About 12 months out, start accumulating cash for prepayment. And 3 months out, redirect new cash entirely to minimize the principal before interest starts. For psychological comfort, you can also make small prepayments while still prioritizing investment during the 0% period. Let us compare the two approaches. Paying debt now provides a risk-free return equal to your interest rate, reduces fixed expenses after graduation, and often delivers psychological relief. It is superior when interest is currently accruing at approximately 6 to 7% or more. Investing early, on the other hand, offers potentially higher long-term returns and harnesses time in the market. It is most compelling when debt carries a 0% subsidized rate and your emergency fund is in place. The optimal choice depends on the current cost of your debt, your risk tolerance, and your need for peace of mind. This mind map presents monthly cash flow. Income sources such as internships, part-time work, and scholarships feed into budget categories. Fixed costs like rent, utilities, food, and transportation are covered first. The safety branch ensures the emergency fund is topped up to $5,000. The debt branch prioritizes paying off any loans with accruing interest, while subsidized loans may receive optional small prepayments. The investing branch includes diversified ETFs and, where eligible, a Roth IRA. If interest is accruing, tilt allocations toward debt. If subsidized loans are at 0%, tilt allocations toward investing. Quiz time. You have a $6,000 emergency fund, an unsubsidized loan at 7% accruing now, and $1,500 in a taxable ETF. What is the smartest next move? Option A. Keep the ETF and start dollar cost averaging more. Option B. Liquidate the ETF and aggressively pay the 7% loan. Option C. Split cash between the ETF and the loan equally. Option D. Stop everything and save more cash. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We'll discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Paying a 7% accruing loan is equivalent to earning a risk-free 7% return and reduces your future interest burden. Given you already have a sufficient emergency fund, liquidating a small taxable ETF position to eliminate costly debt is financially efficient. Second quiz. Your only loan is subsidized at 0% until November 2027. You have a $5,000 emergency fund and steady part-time income. What should you prioritize? Option A. Aggressively pay the subsidized loan now. Option B. Invest monthly in diversified ETFs and plan to prepay 6 to 12 months before interest starts. Option C. Stop investing and hoard cash. Option D. Take on new debt to invest more. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. When your loan carries a 0% rate during a subsidized window, investing is a reasonable strategy. Combine this with a clear glide path that redirects cash toward prepayment 6 to 12 months before interest begins to minimize future costs. Here are the key points. First, paying off accruing interest is equivalent to a risk-free return and should be prioritized. Second, subsidized 0% periods can justify investing first if your emergency fund is secure. Third, aim for a $5,000 emergency fund early. Fourth, use windfalls to either eliminate accruing debt or front-load investments during 0% windows. Fifth, implement a 6 to 12-month glide path before any 0% period ends. Finally, balance the numerical analysis with your psychological comfort, because peace of mind also has value. To summarize, begin by securing an emergency fund. Then, eliminate any loans with accruing interest to capture a risk-free return. Use subsidized 0% windows to invest in low-cost, diversified funds, while planning a glide path to prepay before interest begins. Automate your system and adjust your mix of investing and prepayment based on your risk tolerance, goals, and upcoming life changes. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like the video, share it with a classmate who is weighing loans versus investing, and subscribe for more practical money guides. In the comments, tell us your plan and your loan setup. We would love to hear your strategy.